We are in a new collective timeline on the earth, or I should say, we have now entered into a higher state of being. It's available, it's open for all, it's a frequential thing. The more we alchemize the densities that kept us from being able to access our multidimensional truth, the more we are able to access these higher timelines that once upon a time were not open and available to us. So there's been a lot of big shifts that have been occurring, and so I am here to do a few shorter readings. I've been called to kind of do that in this time. Every now and again I shake things up a little bit. I do some back-to-back short readings. These readings have a very real theme. My guides put it on my heart over the past couple of days to come on here and start to do readings very specifically about breaking a cycle. So as the sun exits Leo, it's sitting at the 29-degree mark of Leo right now, which means having a snog with the fixed star of Regulus, or it's having an appointment at the headquarters of Regulus. And Regulus, as I wrote about yesterday on my Substack in my Sunrise Salutations, it is a fixed star of Leo that is here to regulate our souls. It's here to regulate us in our appointed time and positions for the next cycle, whether that cycle is another year, or whether that cycle is another eon. So what's happening right now is very big, and this is why you're seeing it played out in their counterfeit versions on the world stage, because what's happening behind the veil is that the true stars and appointed leaders are rising again. And please understand and overstand that we all are leaders in our own right, okay? Just by being here, you are a leader, because being a leader is not what it was ascribed to in the false matrix. It's not about power. It's not about control, status, titles. Your main constituency is yourself, okay? You are the leader over self, over your soul's purpose, over the vessel that you chose to incarnate into in this lifetime. You are here to care for your soul, tend to your soul, tend to yourself. That's really what leadership is about. It's about tending to what it is you've been given the responsibility to care for. That's why it is a high position of authority that must be handled with integrity, which is what we haven't been seeing in the old world and which is rising again in the new. In the new earth, we go back to the primordial vision that birthed the original earth templates, whereby leadership was based upon frequency, where beings, the more that you are able to care for what you are actually given genuinely and divinely, the more your borders expand. And I wrote about that yesterday, like I said, in my Sunrise Salutation. So right now the sun is moving from Leo into Virgo, astrologically speaking. And so, astronomically speaking, and this is very interesting, once the sun enters into Virgo, once it leaves Regulus, Virgo tends to be the sign that the sun stays in the longest. Okay, so in traditional astrology, it stays for, 28 to 30 days, whatever the amount of time is. But in truth, the sun tends to sit in Virgo for almost 60 days, and that tells you a lot about why. As the sun moves through that final degree of Leo, Regulus, the soul regulating degree, Virgo comes now to put things right and to organize. Okay, so to organize us in accordance with where it is we're going to be in the next cycle, which is why in the false matrix they like to pull us out of feeling relaxed and then get us all distracted with new work programs, new school calendar, all that stuff, so that we're not focusing on the work of integrating the regulation of our souls that has come through the first 5 signs of the zodiac, and very specifically through the light codes that come through Leo energy, through the 888 portal, that are here to help us attain the levels of wealth, health, vitality, contracts, beauty that we are here to materialize on the earth planes through our own realities, through our own light bodies, for this next cycle around the sun. So Virgo comes to help us establish ourselves so we're ready to do that. in integrity and with honor for self and one another. Okay, so as such, when grand cycles close, new ones open. And what's happening right now, because of where we are in ascension, is that our souls aren't only being regulated for another year, they're being regulated in many ways for a new age, for a new eon. Okay, so right now, a whole new cycle. So right now, the energies of things wanting to close, there's a lot of overlap, because as something opens, something must close. And so a lot of us are in these we're at the close of these very, very gnarly cycles that we are doing our best to dismantle ourselves from entirely, so that we don't take it into the newer chapter. And so this is the reason why I'm showing up and I'm doing these shorter readings for you guys. So we're going to take a look at, I'm probably just going to do a 4-card pull, and we're going to really focus on what it is that you need to break the cycle. So I'll go into the scenario as it's presented in the cards and what your guidance is. So if the scenario is speaking to you, then you will know what the guidance is coming through for you. I'll do my best to pick up on dates, time, frames, signs, and all of that. And of course, there's going to be wisdom in here, whether this is for your specific cycle or not, because that's just how I roll. Okay, so I do want to say that as I was getting ready to hit record, I noticed that in one of my tarot decks, a card had been flipped over. So I opened the deck, and it was the High Priestess. And as soon as I split the deck to see why the High Priestess was there, I saw the Hierophant, which I found very interesting. I'm going to put them back in there, but I found very interesting because the Hierophant and the High Priestess are actually counterparts, but they're counterparts in terms of the as above, so below. So the High Priestess kind of is the one who rules over the wisdom and the knowledge of the systems of the invisible, whereas the Hierophant is here to materialize what the High Priestess can access very easily materially. So they work very much together. So the systems of the world are based upon spiritual principles, hence the reason, like I said before, as the sun was moving into Regulus, Mercury was moving into Regulus before it moved backwards into it and will come forth through it again a third time. There's a lot of energies around leaders, leadership, appointments, all of that stuff. They know what they're doing because they've been appointing their fake rulers by way of the stars also, by way of hijacking that energy for their own purposes, which we won't get into today. So I say that because we're seeing it play out on the world stage, but know that it's also playing out in your own reality. Time for you to rise into who it is you actually came here to be in this new age of Aquarius, and time to figure out where or how anything is still trying to obstruct you, and the best way to move in that energy. So let's go back to the very beginning. That's a very good place to start, right? As I said in The Sound of Music. Let's go into the Energy Oracle. This is the very beginning because this was one of my first ever decks when I first began to dive into my energy reading abilities with cards. I think it was back in 2019. I picked up this deck, and the rest is her story. A lot of, I don't want to use the word milestones, but it is a lot of like new precedents being set. And I'm talking about personally. Okay, so this is going to be a very personal thing for all of you. Little things that might seem small to other people, but are kind of big for you. Okay, so milestones and moments of precedent happening right now. So, for example, I'm showing up here today, and this is not a big deal to many of you, but it is to me. I'm showing up without any kind of makeup on my face, and that is a big deal because of my background, because I grew up in a family that was very appearance obsessed. We were the only black family in a very, well-to-do white neighborhoods is how I've grown up my whole life, and so the pressure to always look a certain way, to be a certain way, was ingrained in me. And when I became an adult, I was always made to feel, even as a child, that I wasn't attractive. I'm a scapegoat in my family. And then I got into an abusive relationship, physically speaking, and he messed up my face when he tried to take my life in a final encounter a few years ago. So I say all of that because my relationship with how I show up in the world, and how I present myself, I've had to do a lot of work to dismantle a lot of the narratives and the stories. And so today I was going to do a blackout video, and then I showed up and I'm like, fuck it, I don't give a fuck anymore what people think about me, if they think I'm attractive or not. I know I'm attractive, and it's not about my face. And beyond that, it's about these high levels right now of self-acceptance and understanding and understanding that every time you choose to show up in a place that once intimidated you or made you feel uncomfortable, or where you had fear around doing something, even if it's like showing up and speaking on a platform, that's another thing that many of you are here to do, and you've got to push past. You've got to push past those energies within, and even the things without, like the algorithm that wants to push you back into your place and make you feel small, or like you don't have anything of importance to say. It's time to push past those barriers, because what you're going to find is it's like that situation in the Wizard of Oz, where they were so afraid all that time, only to draw back the curtain and find out that it was just a wizard that was trying to control the way they thought about themselves and what was possible. It's time to kind of push past all of the fences that have kept you out of showing up authentically. And being accepted authentically, because when we put on a mask, and makeup is a mask, and I'm a girl, I like putting on makeup, I like looking a certain way, I like doing all of that stuff, there's nothing wrong with it, but when we use it to hide who we are, then all we're going to do is start to draw in people who either do the same or can't accept us in our rawness. And right now we are returning back to the primordial ways of being and relating, where we're not playing these games anymore of breaking our hearts and breaking other people's hearts, because we're playing in the land of make-believe, which always will set us up for karmic cycles and structures. So we have coming out here, this is the main focus, caring connections, and at the bottom of the deck we have Door to Spirit, which is the number 32, Door to Spirit, the number 32 card. That's 5. This is the number 14 card. 5-5. You might be seeing 5-5. It's 12:29 on my clock as I say this. That's a 5. I've been seeing that energy a lot. I woke up to that energy. 5 means that there's a new system being established. A new foundation is already rolling out. It's connected again to the Hierophant in the tarot. It's got Leo associations, astrologically speaking. So it's all about this is like heart-centered systemic changes that are beginning with us first and foremost. Okay, so caring connections. Okay, this is if this is showing up in the overarching theme, and we're speaking about overcoming blocks, then this is coming to show that this has been an area where you have not been able to establish yourself, probably not this lifetime, and possibly for many lifetimes before. This has been an issue. You've been blocked in this area. You've been blocked off from having real love. You've been blocked off from having real support. You've been blocked off from having people on your team. You've gone through a lot of stuff alone, and even when you've been in the company of other beings, you've still felt like you're going through things alone. You've had to struggle more than many people. You've lacked support. You've lacked the ability to learn how to love and to be loved authentically, because even if you're the type of person who shows up and gives your all to a relationship, you may have been taken advantage of time and time again, because of your vulnerability, because of your beauty. But what's also coming through here is that there was also a lot of energy work that was designed to keep you in situations where you couldn't establish establish real intimacy. For those of you who've been in these very gnarly karmic cycles, especially those that have their inception in the families you were born in, some of these energies were very much designed to isolate you, to make sure that people would not come around you, and even if they did come around you, they wouldn't have good intentions. You drew a lot of evil eye, jealousy, envy, and this is all about the hexing, the curses, the spells that were upon you, so that like, even if beings were drawn to you, because a lot of you, you're magnetic, you're a high frequency being, people will be drawn to you. They'll be drawn to your beauty. They'll be drawn to your soul light. They'll be drawn even to your darkness. They'll be drawn to you, okay? But there's a difference between people admiring you and being envious and wanting to be around you. And so a lot of your dynamics were catered to calling in these envious spirits, these envious energies, these envious entities. And if we're completely honest, that's also because envy lived in you. Even if it didn't live in you from the place of wanting to have something that someone else had, it lived in you because it was implanted in you from the beginning to make you feel like you were less than, like you couldn't have. Envy has two faces. People don't talk about this enough, okay? There's a face of envy where people want to take something from someone, but there's also the seed point of envy where beings are constantly made to feel like they can't have something someone has, and that's a completely different energy, but it's still all rooted in envy. The root of the energy, the seed of the energy is envy. How it grows and blooms in you is going to be different in accordance with how you alchemize it. So you can grow up to be an envious person who wants everything that everyone else has and tears them down. Or you can grow up to be a person who thinks that you can never have something that someone else has. You might martyr yourself and think that someone else is more worthy. The seed point of that energy, it's an envy template. It's the same. It's just polar opposites, okay? So all energy has polarity. So that energy was implanted in you, and it always was calling in the polarity to kind of feed off of you. I've shared this with you guys before, especially in my small group settings. When I first started to do body scans a few years ago, 1233, 333 on my clock, I was in meditation one day, and I was scanning and I got to my root, and all of a sudden I saw this symbol that was very, very familiar to me, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was until I did some research. And within my holographic fields was this symbol that you find here in the matrix for biohazardous materials. Biohazardous materials. So you'll see it as a symbol in hospitals where they're telling you danger, poisonous, stay away. That was literally embedded symbolically in my root, and I had to clean it out. And it's taken me years of dealing with the energy that was constantly pulling in. So I had to do a lot of dismantling of spells and energy work that I was like buried under, where I was constantly repelling people energetically. I didn't have to do anything. Like I call them repulsion spells, and people will come to me and they would say it to me too. They were just like, I don't know why, people who are more in tune with these spells and how they worked, and they would say it was really weird. I didn't know why. I didn't want to come around you all of a sudden, and then I realized, wait a minute, what's going on here? And they broke past the barrier also, but I had to take personal responsibility and clear it out of my fields, because it was layer upon layer upon layer. This wasn't just from this lifetime of these spells that were ultimately designed to isolate me and keep me from having real support, having real love. And every time that would enter into my life, it wouldn't stay. It would go downhill very quickly. And I would see the spell work. I would see it. I would see the entities fly and jump, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And for a while I was fighting the entities. You're not here to fight the entities. The entities are going to be the entities, are going to do what they're going to do, because that's who and what they are. You're here to regulus your own energy field so that it's inhospitable to that energy. Okay, so this is coming out because there is some kind of shift, and it's partly because of this. These shifts that I was talking about systemically, these collective timeline shifts. So some of these spells have been done, they may have been done to you by beings across timelines, but they are still things that were done in support of the false matrix and its systems. And some of these were done outer planet, very purposely to keep you in a lower frequency, in a frequency of shame, very specifically, so that you would reject yourself, other beings would reject you, so that you wouldn't be able to rise into your truth. Because the reality is, in order for us, I said earlier on at the very beginning, in order for you to rise into your truth, you must reach the frequency. And so everything was designed to keep you stuck in a lower frequency, so you wouldn't be able to rise into your true contracts and into your ability to connect with those who actually care about you, to connect with those who you have real soul contracts with, to connect with those that are here to nurture you, to help you rise higher in your truth, to help you rise higher in your calling, and for you to do the same for them. So the whole point was to keep you isolated, keep us isolated from one another, so that, because there's power in numbers, you know, where two or more of us come together and we're in agreement, we can shift some of the craziest densities on this planet. And that's what we've been doing also, you know. So we've already been doing that. Like, for those of you who've shown up in my group sessions, you know, you felt it. You felt the shifts that have occurred by us just coming together in those times. So, you know, that's already happening. We're feeling it a lot more, but now it's time for us to take personal responsibility for how we move in this. So let's get some information about that. The High Priestess came out in reverse with the Page of Wands. Okay, so I'm not taking that, but it still is a message. Don't disregard any of your intuitive hits. You're entering into a new spiritual story in this lifetime, but it's not a new spiritual story for you across incarnations. In other words, you are returning somewhere where you have already experienced this state of being and living and existing, even if it was like millennia ago. You're re-entering this timeline, and so it's going to be very unfamiliar to you consciously, but your soul is very connected to it. And so as such, you're going to have to really lean in on your own intuition, and not what it is that you think you know, but what it is that you're being guided towards, even when and as it doesn't make sense. Okay, so that's what I'm getting with the High Priestess in reverse and the Page of Wands at the bottom of the deck. New spiritual story, but it's actually the return of a it's the return of a timeline that you haven't accessed in millennia because of the fuckery of the false matrix. Look at this, the Two of Wands. Yeah, the Two of Wands is the beginning of a new spiritual story, the beginning of a new energy cycle. So in the tarot, Wands begins all things. Ace of Wands is the beginning of that above energy, the beginning of the spiritual story. The Ace of Wands strikes the match to start something new, and the Two of Wands is when that energy begins to get growing, or you have a choice whether you want to grow that energy. So be aware, be very aware right now of what it is that you are putting your energy towards growing and letting not grow. Like there's a lot of focus right now on helping us to see how our thoughts and our feelings are creating our what we're going through. So, for example, a few weeks ago, I made a decision that I knew was right for me, but because I made it in fear, I got the beauty of the decision, but the decision was wrapped around with like a lot of fearful things that brought up more fear in me that I had to overcome. Had I made that decision from a place of being more rooted and grounded and certain in what it was I wanted and not from fear, then the outcome of that would have been different. So I was being shown how even though I did come into alignment with what it was I wanted, and I got what I wanted, because I made the decision in fear, I had to then alchemize a lot of fear energies that surrounded my going into it. I hope that makes sense. Okay, overarching theme, we have the Page of Wands has come out and the Four of Coins. Like I said, there is you are entering into a new spiritual story. It's new in this lifetime, but it's a retake of the Page of Wands. A page is the energy of re-entering into something that is new, because of you've spent time away from it, but it's old because you've been through it before. It's kind of a redo kind of energy. So this is an old spiritual story right now that is coming up for you to establish and to protect. With the Four of Coins, it's coming through into the material planes also with the Four of Coins. The Four of Coins is Capricorn energy, so this is to do with a contract, okay? It's Capricorn energy, so be very, very aware. Hold on a second, let me just... Feels like a storm is coming. I don't want it to throw things off my windowsill. This means there's a new contract being established. Be very, very aware of be very, very aware right now of be very, very aware of the familiarity of doing things that feel safe to you because they're familiar. Right now is a time to take risks. Okay, calculated risks, but to take risks, because if you want to enter into a newer spiritual story, then you can't be doing the same shit that had you looping through the old one. I'm very drawn to the snakes here and the infinity symbol. It's time to break out of a cycle that had you stuck creating the same story in your connections. Okay, so for all of you, the way that articulates itself is going to be different. Whatever relational pattern you have, and whatever made you feel safe and protected from recreating that, it's time to take a look and to take a leap, and to do things differently than what you've done before, because we were in a protective mode, for one, you know, like we were in this place of having to protect ourselves and our energy while we rooted ourselves back in our truth. And in that, we made decisions that served our ability to be hermits. But now that you know who you are, it's time for you to make decisions that keep you rooted in that energy, trusting in your ability, but also doing things a little bit differently that might feel somewhat uncomfortable for you in order to break out of the hermit mode and break into a higher reality. 12:44 on my clock. You are protected. You're protected also from the hanged one fuckery, the inversions that would want to come. You're protected. In other words, as you reacclimate how you function in terms of what you're here to do relationally, and even how you create things through your energy field, you are protected. So, for example, that whole manifestation that occurred for me, there was a lot of fear that I had to alchemize, but I was ultimately safe in it, and I ultimately got what I still wanted. So we're being helped right now to remember how it is that we create our realities without fear, without ambivalence, without, the waviness that takes us out of the ability to establish something. I hope that makes sense. So when we waver, we create energy that that opens up pockets of fear and these things where other beings can come and fuck around with us. But when we're rooted in ourselves and our decisions, that is reflected in what we create and what we enter into in our circumstances as well as our connections. The challenge, the Nine of Swords, this is all the programming, all of the mind control, all of the programming, but also all of the hurt that from betrayal cycles that still runs through the mind, all of the ambivalence that comes from opening the heart and opening yourself up because of past experiences. So be very aware. This is what I mean when I say be aware that if you want to jump into this higher reality with another person or other people, you have to relinquish some of the, you have to let some of you have to get rid of some of the armor. The armor served a purpose when you didn't know who you were, and now it's time for you to go to the next level and trust who you are in order to break past another layer that has had you stuck in a cycle of being alone. Okay, so you alchemize the densities that came from you constantly being betrayed by going into hermit mode. When you went into hermit mode, people couldn't betray or hurt you in that way anymore. You removed yourself, you identified, and you broke the spell of them being able to. But now it's time to break another spell of self-isolation, knowing that you can be protected in the company of other beings. It's time to go to a new level of feeling protected and supported in your relationships. But in order to do that, you have to jump over the stories within your own psyche, within your own mind, that want to keep you imprisoned and stuck in hermit mode. So let's see what's come out so far in terms of signs. We have Aries energy, Two of Wands, that's 0 to 10 degrees Aries. Page of Wands is Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This is the kick-starting of a cycle with that fire. Four of Coins is 20 to 29 degrees Capricorn. Nine of Swords is 10 to 19 degrees Gemini, which is where Mars is right now. So Mars is helping us to alchemize and to break through these limiting beliefs, mindsets that we've been programmed into through the betrayal and the trauma cycles, as well as the mind control initiatives of the false matrix. What you need to be looking to, or having more of a focus on, what you might not be seeing because you're distracted by the challenge, is the Ace of Cups. There are brand new beautiful opportunities that are coming in, that are here to heal you, that are here to open your heart, that are here to give you hope, that are here to reintroduce real love into your reality. So instead of focusing on the old world trauma cycles, focus on what is here now coming forth. Okay, so what's here now coming forth is something that wants to heal your heart of everything that these cycles took. Okay, so your guidance is the Seven of Coins. Okay, that's Taurus energy. This is 20 to 29 degrees of Taurus energy. Okay, so first and foremost, the Ace of Cups also is Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces energy. And the Seven of Coins, like I said, is 20 to 29 degrees. Sulfur, this is what it says also, sulfur. Seven of Coins. Okay, so the seven is connected to the Chariot in the tarot. So this is all about light body awareness, and this is all about understanding and understanding that as you live in accordance with your value and the wholeness of who you are, the Chariot is about the integrating of your light and your dark in order to push yourself forward, right? So as you become more accepting of who you are, what you bring to the table, in all ways, what people would consider to be your greatest flaws, or you would consider to be your greatest flaws, are also your greatest strengths. As you learn how to love every aspect of who you are, appreciate and respect that, and to really find the intrinsic divine value in who you are as a God particle, as a reflection of source light, darkness, and the all. As you are able to do that, you are also you cannot call in anymore the energies that that don't reflect that back to you. Okay, so this is about establishing that sense of self-acceptance, being so rooted in it. In other words, having no shame about who you are. Okay, having no shame about who you are. In any sense, how you've shown up, how you've done things, how you've made mistakes, how you've quote unquote failed. We've all done that. We've all failed. We've all hurt ourselves. We've hurt one another. We've all done that. No one is innocent in any of this. But you can't hold yourself to the decisions that you made when you didn't know any better, and you also can't define yourself based upon your mistakes and your shortcomings, because mistakes, shortcomings is part of who you are. You're here to learn, and it's part of your charm also. And real beings who are actually invested in you because they love you on a soul level, as opposed to like transactionally what it is they can get from you or what it is you can give to them, they will have such a deep and profound appreciation for everything that makes you up, for how you got to where you are, from the ugliest of stories to the most beautiful of stories, to the things that other people would think aren't a big deal, you know, but are a big deal to you. Like I shared with you at the beginning, showing up on camera without makeup is a big deal for me. It probably isn't for other people, but because of my own individual, unique history, my hurt, my betrayal cycles, what I've had to alchemize, is a big fucking deal for me. Okay, so people who love you, who are truly your soul tribe, when you share details like that with them, they don't judge you, they don't minimize your experience. They look at you in awe. And you look at them in awe, because you realize that, wow, this person is sitting before me today having gone through A, B, C, D, and look at the beauty that they've been able to alchemize from this. And that's inspiring to me. And, you know, that's because you are sitting before your true mirror. Everything in the false matrix was designed to have you in situations where people were constantly wearing masks and lying to you and pretending, and they weren't a frequential soul match for you. And now it's time to sit before your true mirror. And when you sit before those beings who are your true mirror, everything that you've had to learn to accept in yourself, they accept and love in you too. So it's time for that kind of a connection for many of us. But if this is resonating for you, then you know this is your reading. So it's time for you to take a leap in terms of going past some of the limited mindsets that protected you, but you have to, if you want to go into a higher reality, do something different and take a risk. Okay, and show up more authentically in who you are, and also to completely embrace every aspect of yourself that you've been taught to hate for whatever reason, or to be ashamed of. Okay, so that's what I have for you. I hope that this reading was helpful and insightful. Quick reminder, it's 12:54 where I am. I do have a group today, final group. This is the third time I've done it. The Tarotstrology, looking at your sun and moon and the contracts around that very specifically. I'm just looking to see, I'm trying to remember what time this group is. I think it's 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, it's 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 5 p.m. UK time. There are still a couple of seats available if you are interested. I know August tends to be a little bit slower. People aren't really coming to these things. That's fine. I like the intimate setting also. I think I have 3 or 4 of you already signed up. It's a group that can hold 7. So if you would like to join us and you're able to get yourself a spot, then I will put the information in the description box below. I do have another group meeting this Saturday. It's called Alchemizing Anger, and allowing your shadow to come back on board as your protector, which is its rightful place. Your shadow is here to protect your light. I did host this last Saturday, and it was a beautiful time, and I am doing it again this weekend, and there are still spots available. I will put the information for that below. If you would like to donate to my liberation or to my work here on YouTube, Substack, and my work for the collective in this new age, you may do so through my PayPal or Ko-Fi, and I appreciate all the ways that you show your love and your support for me, my growth, my ability to show up, and my ability to get free too. I love you guys. I will be back again very soon. Until then, be well.